The Federal Reserve is the American central bank. The US dollar is the payment rail on which the world economy operates. The Federal Reserve is what makes all of the output of the US economy, and indeed the global economy, integrate into a coherent financial system. Without the Fed, we don't have the dollar. Without the dollar, we don't have the global economy. The financial system in the United States at the beginning of the 20th century was a backwater. It was crisis-prone, filled with tiny little banks that would fail as likely as succeed, and made it so that the businessmen and women of the early 20th century, who sought to grow their markets and integrate themselves into the global economy, couldn't do so. The United States needed to grow up, financially speaking, and so it created a new central bank, a new banking system called the Federal Reserve System. If you were to pull out a $20 bill or any dollar bill, you'll see written on the top of it, Federal Reserve Note. The Federal Reserve issues the nation's currency. Banks that manage your money are doing so attached to the Federal Reserve System, providing the right amount of money, not more, not less. It's called monetary policy. It's the most important thing that the Fed does. The consequence of providing too much money is inflation, and the Federal Reserve exists in order to combat that temptation. When you have growth without inflation, anything is possible. And we have entrepreneurs imagining a future and innovating into that future. When monetary policy is not running well, when we have inflation without growth, those options evaporate. The consequence, we have a word for that, it's called stagflation. What we have seen in the Federal Reserve's 113-year history is extraordinary institutional resilience. The Federal Reserve navigated through all of this, through the Great Depression, through the Cold War, through the internet revolution in the 1990s. We are right now facing what I would regard as three principal challenges for the Fed. The first is geopolitical uncertainty. The very polarity of the geopolitical world is shifting in a way that we have not seen since the end of the Cold War in the early 1990s. Number two is the AI revolution will affect every aspect of knowledge production. Will AI replace the central banker? How will AI change that policy-making function? And the third is we are seeing the very revolution of what it means to be money, not only in the United States, but throughout the world. The US dollar is now the rail on which the global economy runs, and the Federal Reserve is its chief engineer. And yet, even today, even in the midst of conflict and geopolitical uncertainty, even in the midst of technological revolutions and AI and crypto, the US dollar is still king. And in charge of the US dollar is the Federal Reserve.